Hey everybody, it's Dr. Joe here in the house on this very nice spring Wednesday. Hope it's good wherever you are. And the Wealth Wednesday. And today we're going to talk about getting the money. Essential tips for smooth mortgage approvals. So this could be for commercial, residential, hard money. It's all about you wanting to get money or funding from a third party. And what's the best way to do that? What's some of the strategies, tips, and suggestions that will help you to get the money? And the reason why I did this one today is that, interest rates are getting higher, and banks and a lot of financial institutions are tightening up on their credit requirements. So I think, there's no longer sort of easy money anymore. So it's really important for you and me and everybody, really. If we wanted to grow our business, if we want to get financing sources, then we need to understand what the other parties are looking for, what the financial institutions are looking for. And so I wanted to sort of talk about that because we all need money, hopefully. Well, not hopefully. Hopefully you don't need any more money, but assuming that you do, then I think this is a very legitimate topic that I think it would be very helpful for you. And so I suppose the issue is the question, I suppose, why must real estate investors master the mortgage approval process to succeed? And as I said, real estate investing, it's it's a life cycle approach. And at some point, you're going to need to raise money, especially if you live in an expensive market like we are in, where just to buy a house in bad condition is $400,000-$600,000. That's even before the repairs. And if you consider the renovation cost, it's a lot of money. And therefore, your ability to get funding or access financing really will determine your ability to grow and scale your business. So because if you can get money, I think it's going to help you in terms of knowing the subject is going to help you negotiate, and it's going to obviously have a bearing on the market, and hopefully as you grow, you're going to make better, more informed decisions. So let's get down to it, and so on. So the first thing I think we have to understand is really the importance of credit and your credit score. The assumption is that what credit scores and credit is all about. And I don't need to, explain that to you, because I assume that, you understand that everybody has a credit score, and the higher the credit score, the better it is for you. And the score ranges anywhere from the 400s all the way to the, mid 800s. The higher, the better. And if you don't know what your score is, you need to go find out. So I suppose the question of the day is this: why is your credit score crucial in real estate investing, and how can you, I improve it? And there are strategies that you can employ that will help you, boost your credit score. So in the realm of real estate investing, the first indicator that lenders tend to look at, really, they want to know what your score is, because the score really gives them an idea of your financial health and also their lending risk. Are they putting their money on risk? Have you had demonstrated you're a good steward of money? And that will tell them whether they should reveal funding to you or cut it away from you. So improving your credit score, there's lots of reasons. There's lots of things that affect that. Things like payment history, your credit utilization, the length of your credit history, number of inquiries, the type of inquiries, and also the type of credit that you've used. These all factor into determining your score. So obviously the first thing is to try to have an impeccable credit score, if that's possible. And this will have the most important factor, significant factor, in whether credit is going to be extended to you or not. And things that you can do, obviously, is to make your payments on time. Don't be late. Don't be 30 days or more late. And secondly, you can look at what we call credit utilization. And credit utilization is really a factor or ratio between how much credit is extended to you and how much you're using. So, for instance, if you have a credit card and you have a $10,000 credit limit and you are using 3,000 of that, then your utilization is 30%. Okay, it's the ratio how much you're using to how much you have available. And you don't want to kind of max it out, use 10,000 if you have $10,000 credit line, because it kind of implies to the the lender that you're strapped for money and you're really you're overly dependent on the credit. So typically what you want to do is to go for what we call like a 30% or less credit utilization, and so on. So the lower the better, but you try to go below 30% if possible, and you certainly don't want to max it out if you don't have to. Obviously, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I get it, but in an ideal world, you're trying to limit your utilization to around 30%. Another thing is that will affect your credit is it's really what's it called? Opening up too many credit lines. Okay, having too much credit, and obviously you need credit, but sometimes there's a point, especially if you're applying for a loan or a mortgage, and you're suddenly got a lot of inquiries, and you suddenly got a lot of new debt that's just you put on you. Lenders may look unfavorably to that. It looks like you're short of money, and it may tempt you to spend more money. So instead of maximizing your credit issues, then you have to be careful on how you apply that. Another thing is what type of is on your credit report. Certain things like foreclosures or bankruptcies, they tend to stay a certain length of time, 7 or 10 years, and ultimately they will come off. But certain things, they look more unfavorably on your credit report. You've had foreclosures, bankruptcies, and things like that, charge-offs, and so on. And another thing that will help you on your credit score is the longevity, of your credit. So if you've had a credit card or a loan for a long time, then it tends to carry more weight, more so than a recent one. So if possible, try not to close out your older credit lines, unless you really have to. And also another good thing is to have a mixture of different types of credit. It could be things like, a mix of retail accounts, mortgages, lines of credit, credit cards, installment loans, and so on. So it demonstrates that you have the ability to manage, different types of credit. So these are some of the things that you can do to improve your credit score. And as I said before, the most important thing is to beef up your credit score and improve it. If you don't know what it is, you may want to check out. The most common one that they use is FICO, Fair Isaac Company. And you can go to myfico.com and you can request your own, FICO score. And I think some banks, I know I have accounts with Bank of America and also Wells Fargo. Some mortgage companies, they give you, FICO scores, on a regular basis. So, but it's important to know what your score is, and that way, you know exactly what you're dealing with, and then you can take the necessary actions to improve it. So what are some of the action items that, as it pertains to credit scores that you want to do? First thing is set up reminders, obviously, to auto pay your bills. And because late payments will have a really negative impact on your score. And also another action item you can do is work towards reducing the amount of debt that you have, especially high interest rate credit cards, and also to improve your credit utilization ratio. And the third action item that you may want to consider doing is to regularly review your credit score or credit report for accuracy and make sure that what's in there should be there. If there's anything there that shouldn't be there, you can lodge an appeal to hopefully try and get it removed. And so dispute any inaccuracies in your report immediately if you find them. So the second part to today's session on getting the money is and what lenders look for is optimizing your debt to income ratio. Debt to income ratio obviously is the ratio of your debts that you have versus the income that you are coming in. So what's going out versus or divided by what's coming in. So the question becomes, what strategies can investors like you and I use to manage our debt to income ratio effectively? So the DTI, or debt to income ratio, is a crucial financial metric that a lot of banks use to assess really your liability, or your ability, I suppose, to manage your monthly payments and repay your debts. They want to know, do you have enough coming in to pay your debts? And it's, as I said before, it's calculated by dividing the total monthly debt payments that's going out by your gross monthly income. And a lower DTI obviously is preferable from a bank's standpoint, as it indicates that you have a good relationship balance between your debt and your income. So for real estate investors, maintaining a DTI ratio that aligns with lender standards is really important. And it's really essential for securing mortgage approvals. They will look at your debt to income ratio, and the lower it is, the better it is for you. So to optimize your DTI ratio, focus on, first of all, on reducing your debt if you can. This can be done by paying down high interest, interest rate loans and credit cards, which not only lowers your total DTI, but also reduces the amount of interest that you're paying. Another thing to consider is that if you have multiple sources of debt, there's different ways to pay back. There's different strategies that people use. One is called the debt avalanche model, and another one is called the snowball method. So I don't know. I'll briefly talk about that, but I mean, we can have a whole session just on that alone. So the avalanche method is focused on paying your high interest rate debts first, and while the snowball effect is focused on paying off the smallest debts first, and then you start gaining momentum as each of those balances are paid off. So there are two different strategies that people use to pay off loans. One is called the avalanche method, and one is called the snowball method. And so that's there are one ways, obviously, to reduce your DTI is to reduce your debt. The other way is to increase your income. That's another strategy to improve your DTI ratio. And this could include, obviously, getting more money, a higher salary, getting a side hustle, taking on additional part-time work, finding new income streams. I mean, all these things are important to increase your income. But if you're going to go that route, you make sure that you can document, because the lenders want you to prove that your income is in fact calculated. Is in fact documented, and so they'll need proof before they'll enter that into the calculations and so on. So additionally, what you can do is to restructure your debts through refinancing to lower interest rates, or you can extend the terms of your loans, and therefore that will reduce the monthly payments, which in turn will reduce your DTI ratio. So finally, regularly monitoring and recalculating your DTI, I think, is a strategy that you may want to consider doing, especially prior to requesting or applying for new loans. This proactive approach really, it's a good one. I do that on a regular basis just to kind of review my personal financial statement. They call it PFS. And you can do these calculations, and therefore you have a good idea where you stand. And also I check my credit score every now and then. I subscribe to a couple of, credit monitoring services. So if there's a activity on my credit report, then I get notified. I think they have this thing called Credit Karma. That's free. So you may want to consider subscribing to that, and they'll give you an idea of your credit score, and also they'll monitor you. They can also monitor your credit report. So if there's any transaction that's taking place, you can get notified. So what are some of the action items associated with debt to income ratio? Optimizing your debt to income ratio. Well, first of all, is prioritize the repayment of high interest debts to decrease both your total debts and your monthly payments. That's an action item. The second action item is to explore and establish additional income streams that can be verified and that'll also enhance your DTI calculations as well. And the third action item that you may want to consider is to periodically review and adjust your debt repayment strategies to optimize for changes in income and expenses. That's number 2. Let's get down to number 3 in terms of preparing yourself and getting access to money. The other one is assembling compelling loan applications. At some point, you're going to have to make a loan application to somebody. And so I put this down because I think how you present yourself to a lender is also extremely important. So the question becomes, how can you assemble a loan application that stands out to the lenders? What is it about your loan application that appeals to them such that you can actually get the money? So creating a loan application that catches the eye of a lender involves more than just filling out forms, okay? It's about presenting a comprehensive, coherent financial picture about you, and it really underscores the reliability and your investment acumen, so to stand out. I mean, I'm always into standing out. Whether if I'm a landlord, I like to stand out from other landlords. If I'm appealing to certain tenants, tier 1 tenants, I want to have a product that appeals to them. I like to stand out. I like to differentiate myself from my quote unquote competition. So same thing here. You need to stand out into when you are actually making the loan application, such that the lender can review your application and say, yes, this person is a good risk. Yes, I think we can borrow them the money. So this starts by, assembling detailed, accurate documentation that covers your financial status, including things like proof of income, tax returns, bank statements, and really a breakdown of your assets and liabilities. These are all things that you can do. Such sort of meticulous documentation helps you quickly establish, financial stability. Also, I think it establishes credibility in the eyes of the lender. It's really persuasive. It tells them that you got your act together, you got it together, and you know what they're looking for, and you're presenting it in such a way that hopefully it'll appeal and impress them. So, I mean, there's certain documents that they look for. Again, personal financial statement, which is they call it PFS, a breakdown of your assets and liability. Also, you may want to do is to have a little summary of your experience if you have it. And short bio, doesn't have to be anything extensive. It just kind of shows them your real estate history, what you've done, if you've done anything. And again, it's designed to make you stand out, and how, if they borrow you the money, how that fits into your overall investment goals. So the statement should be persuasive, or the summary should be persuasive and backed by data, and demonstrating to lenders that you have a clear and viable plan for the property and the financing that you are seeking from them. It's also advantageous because it helps you anticipate any potential problems or concerns. You can address them in the documentation. Things like gaps in employment or previous investment outcomes. You can explain to them directly exactly what happened in your own words, and hopefully you can sort of deflect any concerns that they may have. Again, how you package your loan application is really important. I know I put mine, in the old days anyway, put them in binders, 3-ring binders, all my documents together, organized well, and I would hand it to the lender. And then have supporting data as well. It's really good. Try to avoid inconsistencies in the data or red flags, because red flags tend to are the main reasons why you get denied. And it may be a good idea also to speak to a mortgage broker or a financial advisor, and they can explain to you or help you in pulling this stuff together, because they're experienced, they know what lenders are looking for, and hopefully can give you some solid advice about what you should do and what you definitely should avoid to do. So they can also provide you insights on what other people have been doing in the past. So what are the action items associated with assembling a compelling loan application? Things like ensure your financial documents are together, are current, organized, and accurately reflect your financial position. Number 2 action item is develop a compelling and personal statement, a summary that aligns with your financial data and clearly outlines your investment strategy. I used to call that what do you call it? There's a thing I have. It's the oh boy, I forgot what you call it now. You know, if it comes to my mind, I'll get to it. Third action items you may want to do is consult regularly with financial advisors and mortgage brokers to review loan application information, and such that they can advise you as to what you can do to improve your chances of loan approval. Okay, so we're kind of halfway through today's session. And again, as usual, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box. I'm going to get down to it in about 10-15 minutes. And, you know, as usual, anything to do with real estate, either BRRRR, landlording, investing, tenants, anything to do with real estate, put it in the chat box and I'll give you my shot. I'll give you my best shot providing you an answer to your questions. So put them down. I'll get to them in about 10-15 minutes and so on. So number 4 is learning from successes and failures of others. You know the saying goes, a wise man learns from his mistakes, but a genius learns from other people's mistakes. You need to be geniuses. You don't want to make mistakes if you don't have to. I call that, you want to avoid making what I call unnecessary mistakes. So you want to learn from the experience of others. So the question becomes, what can be learned from the mortgage approval experience of other investors? And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Examining the experience of other real estate investors, I think it provides you a wealth of information and allows you to avoid making what I call unnecessary mistakes. So by studying the success and failure or what, you know, I suppose successful and unsuccessful mortgage applications can give you insights on what you can do and what you should do. So that way your application is strong and stands out from your competition, and you avoid common pitfalls that could lead to rejection. So success stories from other people, you know, one of the things is thorough preparation. It's always good to prepare. It's always, don't go to a meeting or make a loan application without preparing, without assembling all your information. It's really good having, you know, addressing your things that you know that the lender is looking for, like your credit. Address it first. If they expect a minimum of 700 credit score and you have 650, it may be a good idea to wait, beef up your credit score, and then make an application, because if it's below their requirements, you may get rejected. So also have a clear and well-structured financial plan, realistic investment goals, and that build confidence and trust. I mean, sometimes people will start off and say, I want to get 20 houses this year. It's not realistic. Let's get the first one, get the second one, get the third one, keep going. You know, because, you know, you have to walk before you run in reality. So some of the common issues that people, you know, have failed really, underestimating the importance of an accurate application. You know, over leveraging previous investments. As I said, the DTI, getting too indebted, or failing to adjust investment strategies due to market conditions. Market is changing. You know, it's the heyday is gone. Easy money is out. Interest rates are higher. Things are a little slower. It's not like it was. So you have to be a lot more conservative, let's say, compared to you know, a few years ago. So you kind of have to adjust your strategy based on the realities of the real world. You know, and the other thing is to avoid silly mistakes. Understand what banks are looking for, and make sure that you have your act together to you know, to take care of those things. Another good idea is to you know, engage with others, join real estate forums, attend seminars, networking events, and learn from other people. They can give you some insights as to what they're doing, what's working, what's not working today. And you can be really proactive in your learning. So what are some of the action items that you can take as it pertains to learning from success and failures of others? Number 1 is to analyze this, you know, case studies of successful and unsuccessful mortgage applications to identify key factors that you know, affected the outcomes, both good or bad. You know, why did other people's some people's application get approved, and why did some people's application get denied? I think the more you understand the answers to those questions, the better it is for you, because you can learn from the experiences of others. You can attend, another action item is to attend real estate investment seminars and workshops to gain insights into current practices, what's working, market conditions, and so on. Another action item is to build a network of fellow real estate investors, networking to share experiences, strategies, and hopefully enhance your understanding and preparation for your own mortgage application. Number 5, things you can do to get the money is strengthening your financial reserves. Reserves, having money in the bank, having some savings, as they say. So the question becomes, how can building strong financial reserves benefit real estate investors? And what are the best strategies to achieve this? Everybody wants to save money, but a lot of people cannot because they spend everything. So building a strong financial reserve is a cornerstone, really, of successful real estate investing. It's a buffer against unforeseen expenses, economic downturns, or periods, if you're a landlord, periods of vacancy. You got to have some reserves. And, they're not always great times. There are some tough times. And it's good to have some, money saved up just to help you avoid some of those challenges when they come. Lenders look favorably if you have some reserves. They do. It demonstrates your ability to save and maintain, substantial reserves if it's possible. This not only increases the likelihood of mortgage approval, but also it helps you with peace of mind, ensuring that you can cover mortgage payments in the event that unforeseen activities or certain circumstances occur, i.e., during less profitable times. So to effectively build, and maintain financial reserves, to do that, I think the important thing is, first of all, is to start and set some clear goals, savings goals, based on the property value or based on the anticipated expenses or rent. For example, some people, I try to maintain at least 3 months, reserves per property in an account. Again, just to, in the event of unforeseen, situations. Some people have 6 months reserves set aside for a rainy day. And the rainy day could come anytime. And so the funds should be readily accessible. And, like in a, savings account, and other types of, accounts which you can access very, very quickly, easily. And so on. So, you don't need to have too much money, but you need to have some money in an account. Another way to save, obviously, is to automate your savings. So every month, every time you get paid, or every month, a certain amount of money goes from one account to a savings account automatically without you having to do anything. This ensures that you're consistently contributing to your reserves without having to make any conscious decision over time. The other thing is to, as I said before, put it into lower risk accounts, accounts that you can access very, very quickly. So what are some of the action items associated with, building your reserves or strengthening your financial reserves? Things like determine the fixed percentage of your rental income to be automatically directed into a dedicated reserve account. Establish a separate savings account specifically for property-related emergencies and maintenance needs. And the third thing is regularly review and adjust your financial reserve goals annually and make modifications as and when necessary. So in conclusion, as I wrap this up, it's now 7:31. So the issue then becomes, how do these strategies collectively prepare investors like you and I for successful mortgage approvals and robust portfolio growth? What are all the things that I've said in the last 30 minutes? How will that affect you, help you become successful when applying for loans so that you can beef up and grow your real estate investment portfolio? So, during today's live stream, what I try to do is to express the importance of certain things like credit scores, optimizing debt to income ratios, crafting a compelling loan applications, learning from the experience of others, and also building your financial reserves. I try to stress the importance of each of those areas because mastering these will help you, increase your chance of success in terms of getting the money. It really also it helps you foster discipline and sustainable growth and stability. Collectively, though, they lay the foundations for any investor. And if I knew a lot of this stuff when I first started, I think I would be a lot wiser. But I didn't. But hopefully, what I'm trying to share with you is really solid, time-tested information, which if you're in the business of trying to get money, you need to understand. So the ability to present yourself favorably to lenders is really, it's really important, coupled with your profile and understanding the financial nuances of real estate investing. It's really important to have a compelling profile that makes you stand out, that tells them that you know what you're doing and you got your act together and you're disciplined. You've got the financial documents in place, you got you manage your debts, and you proactively building a reserve. All these things instill habits and will contribute to your long-term success. So by adhering to some of the principles I've shared today, I think will really help you in your overall financial acumen. So in conclusion, the journey towards successful mortgage application outcomes is not easy. It's continuous. It's a learning process, and it requires dedication and adaptability. And remember that every step that you take towards improving your financial management and application preparedness has a direct impact on your investment outcome. So let these strategies serve you as a guide, and hopefully you can continue your learning. Join me every Wednesday on Wealth Wednesday, and as I up my game in terms of providing you with quality content, and that hopefully will drive you to financial independence and financial success. So with that said, my friends, let's get down to Q&A time, and let's have a look what we got here today. We have, if you got some questions, put them in the chat box. And as always, if you want to shoot me an email, you can always shoot me an email. You can shoot me an email to joe@joeasamoah.com, joe@joeasamoah.com, and I'll try to respond to you. And as always, you can book a one-on-one with me. If you have any specific questions that you want a deeper dive and you feel that I can be of assistance to you, then go to my website, joeasamoah.com, and book a session with me. Ask Dr. Joe, and a one-on-one, 1 hour session with me. It is paid, so it's $175 for 1 hour, but typically we go a little bit longer than that. But I really enjoy it. I'm doing about an average of one a week now, and where I'm just providing quality content and helping people avoid making unnecessary mistakes. So feel free to book a session with me. You'll have my undivided attention during the session. And you can go to Ask Dr. Joe. You can go to www.joeasamoah.com. I'll make a quick announcement. I will be, if you're in the DC area, April the 27th, I've been invited to be a guest speaker. I'm going to be talking about how to raise private capital for your real estate deals, how to raise private capital for your real estate deals. And it's part of the, let's have a look, what do I say? It's what's it called? April the 27th, 1 o'clock till 4 p.m. So the Glory Days Grill in 3141 Duke Street in Alexandria, Virginia. Glory Days Grill, 3141 Duke Street in Alexandria, VA. I've been invited to be the guest speaker. It's going to be real estate investors and also real estate agents at the event. So, Aruna Karoma, he's the one that invited me to the event. So I will be the speaker there. And the event is organized by Flipping the Capital organization. So I will be the guest. And I'm going to talk about proven tactics for attracting private investors, strategies for crafting irresistible investment proposals, and also there's an opportunity to network with other like-minded investors. There'll be a Q&A session there, so I'll be there. And I think I'm also invited I'll be a guest speaker or panel anyway on March the 26th. I think there's an event. I was just told that today. Another one in May 26th, and also I'll be another event. I think this one's in Richmond, Virginia. I think they've invited me. So Dr. Joe's getting out there, and so on. So anyway, if you want to join me on April 27th, which is next Saturday, 1 to 4 p.m. at Glory Days Grill, 3141 Duke Street, Alexandria, Virginia, 221. Alexandria, Virginia, which is just outside Washington, D.C. Okay, my friends, let's get down to the comments and questions and in the chat box. Let's see what we can do. Let's have a look. Who we got today? Hey, Datu from Phoenix, a regular. How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well where you are in sunny Phoenix, I assume. Amon H. Hey, how you doing, man? Hope it's all well. Datu, to get approval for a mortgage loan from a traditional bank without a W-2, do you typically just provide 2 years worth of tax returns showing your rental income? Do you typically have to provide other docs? Yeah, so if you don't have a W-2, for instance, you're a real estate investor, self-employed, typically they want to see some tax returns. Obviously, you got to have decent credit, and you got to demonstrate a reliable income stream. So that's where the tax return comes on. And this is the problem with a lot of investors face this issue, which is the banks you have to show the banks you're making money. And typically investors, we don't like to pay taxes. I get it. And so there is the conflict. If you don't want to pay taxes, then the best way to do that is by minimizing your profits. Okay. And so if you don't have any profits, then you're probably going to pay less taxes. However, banks want to see that you're making money, i.e. you're making profits. So there's a fine line. And if it's too far in one way, if it's too far in demonstrating you're making no profits, then and you don't pay taxes, then it's going to affect you and your ability to demonstrate to a bank that you're making money. Likewise, if you're making too much money, you're going to pay a lot of taxes. So it's that fine line, and this is where it's really good to have the counsel of a good CPA or a financial advisor to make sure you have the right balance. If you're making loan applications, it's important that you understand what the banks are looking for, what the lenders are looking for, and your tax returns support what you're trying to request. Okay. I know for a while I was sort of in the camp of, well, I didn't want to pay taxes. So my CPA was, maxing out all my deductions, and which is great until you start making loan applications. And then it's not so great because especially if you're on a W-2, especially if you're without a W-2. So typically it's the tax returns, the credit card statements, any reserves that you have. They want to see your assets and liabilities. The typical one, you have to complete what we call a personal financial statement. They also want to do what they call a schedule of real estate owned. And a couple of things that a lot of these banks want to look for if you don't have a traditional W-2 income stream. So hopefully that was helpful, that too. You may already have answered my question. It's more getting a mortgage without a W-2. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. I'll do the best I can to try to answer them. Get Lobster. Hello, Dr. Joe. What's your take on 2 or 3 year leases? And is there a month of the year that you prefer your leases to end to reduce vacancy rates? Okay, good one. What's your take on 2 or 3 year leases? I know it's Section 8. Typically, it's you have to sign what we call a HAP contract, Housing Assistance Program contract, and they're usually 1 year, and then it goes month to month at the end of that. So you can, that's the contract that you sign with the housing authority. So you can have a lease with your tenant, but the HAP contract supersedes that. So what's in the fine print of the HAP contract overrides whatever is in your contract. That's just the way it is with Section 8 program. So if you have market renters, obviously you can have 2, 3, 5, 10-year leases if you want. But typically for me anyway, it's usually 1 year and then it's month to month thereafter. And so on. Second part, is there a month of the year that you prefer for your leases to end or reduce? Now, most people tend to be looking when the weather gets warmer. So around here, people sort of get out of hibernation mode and start looking in mass around February, March time, all the way through to the end of the fall, early winter. So if you have a vacancy, it's best to have it during that time. Obviously, you really don't want. Well, it is what it is. If you can avoid it, try to minimize your vacancies around those off-peak times, like around Christmas time, the winter time when it's cold outside, because there's just not a lot of people looking. The hardcore obviously will always be looking because they need a place to go, but the masses prefer to start looking during the spring, or so that way the kids, if they've got kids, get settled prior to the start of the school year in the fall. So there's a window where a lot of people tend to move. And so if you have a vacancy, you're going to have a lot of people looking, or at least you're going to have more people looking than if you have a vacancy and there are fewer people looking, which means that you're going to have, your turnover is going to be higher. Your costs are going to be higher because it's going to take you longer to fill the vacancy. So if you can avoid it, try to avoid the low seasons and the winter seasons here anyway, and try to have a vacancy if you're going to have one during the spring, summer, and early fall period of time. Okay, let's have a look. The last time I had a termite treatment was 2016. Oh, hold on a second. I think I've answered that one. So the next one is Lewis. Hi, Dr. Joe. Do you recommend freezing your credit with 3 credit bureaus? It depends what the circumstances are. If someone's hacked into your account, or you think there's some unauthorized transaction, yes, you probably do want to freeze it. I've never had to freeze my account, but I've never really had anyone hack into my account. I'm gonna knock on wood. Hopefully, it never happens. But you don't know. So I mean, there are circumstances where I assume you want to freeze your account, so that way, if there's any transactions going on, you can be notified first, for approval, and so on. I think that's how it works. I'm not really an expert in that part, but I think we all have the ability to contact the credit bureaus, the 3 big credit bureaus. Is it Equifax, Experian, and I think it's TRW, I think it is. They're the big 3. And you have the ability to freeze your credit report such that there's no transactions taking place, or you are notified if something occurs. It's really for a lot of people who've had their accounts hacked for whatever reason, I think. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have a termite treatment schedule for your properties, like every 5 years, whether there's termite activity or not? I noticed that the house next door was getting a termite treatment Monday. I don't have termite treatments, on my houses. Maybe when I first buy it, if there's termite issues, then we try to take care of it then. But no, I don't really have a termite treatment program. I know that some people have treatments for rodents and roaches and things like that. But I don't have any treatments for my termites. So if it also, I assume it depends on the area that you're in, and if the area that you're in has a pretty, is well known for termites, then yes, I suppose it may be worthwhile to actually have a treatment plan. The last time I had a treatment was in 2016. Well, that's more better than me, because I don't recall even having one for many, many years. Datu. My first time voucher holder 1-year anniversary is this month. Congratulations. I haven't heard from the voucher program. The voucher holder still lives there, so I'm assuming the voucher will continue in May. Yes. Typically, it's, it's 1 year, then it goes month to month. Depending on where you are, they may not even do inspections, or what they call recertifications every year. They may do it every 2 years, like we are. So it's nothing unusual that you don't hear anything from the program after the first year. But typically, depending on the housing authority that you're in, down to the tenant will have to recertify per HUD regulations to confirm that they still qualify for the program. So they have to recertify, they call it. They have to bring documentation like family size, proof of income, and things like that to make sure they still qualify. And then they'll do an assessment of whether the rents need to be adjusted. So that typically has to happen. And also the housing authority has to inspect your property. Over here in the DC area is every 2 years. I'm not too sure what it is where you are. So you have to have an inspector come in there and make sure that house passes what we call housing quality standards for that 1 year. Oh, sorry, housing quality standards, such that it can still be a part of the program. If there are items there that need to be repaired or replaced, then they'll let you know. If it's a landlord caused issue, if it's a tenant caused issue, then the tenant is supposed to fix those problems. So it's nothing unusual that you haven't heard anything, but you should hear something from them definitely next year at the second or prior to the 2nd year anniversary of your tenant. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. I'm going to wrap it up shortly. I had a long day today and so on. So Dr. Joe, does banks offer HELOCs on investment rental properties? If so, any suggested banks? Yeah, there are some banks that do HELOCs, home equity lines of credit on investment property. I have a couple. I don't want to put them on the line because it's going to depend on the area that you're in. I think it's worthwhile to do a Google search or do some research and to see who offers home equity lines of credit on investment properties. I know that the debt to income ratio, not debt to, yeah, I suppose, yeah, the ratios is higher for rental versus primary residence. In other words, the loan to value, that's what I was going. It will be higher for, i.e., you can borrow more money on your line of credit if it's a primary residence than if it's a home equity line, if it's an investment property. So primary residence may be like 80, 90%, whereas an investment property may be 60 to 70 to 75%. So it's usually less LTV, loan to value, because technically, there's more risk with investment properties defaulting than with primary residence because you're living there. Okay, my friends, as I said, I'm going to wrap this up today. Let's just more questions. Again, I will be the guest speaker at an event April 27th at the Glory Days Grill, 3141 Duke Street in Alexandria, Virginia. And from 1 to 4 p.m., I'll be talking about how to raise private capital, raise money for your real estate deals. So I'm going to be talking about creative strategies. That's worked for me in the past in raising private money. And, I leverage private money, and I think I have a way that works. And I'll be sharing that strategies, what works, what doesn't work, what's worked for me in the past. And at this event on April the 27th at the Glory Days Grill in 3141 Duke Street in Alexandria, Virginia. So if you got time next Saturday, please join me. I think it's going to be a great session. There's food there, and it's going to be good. It's going to have fun. If you're in the area, please join us, because I like to definitely network and meet with you and so on. So my friends, I think, again, if you got some questions, shoot me an email, joe@joeasamoah.com. And if you want to do a one-on-one with me, go to my website, www.joeasamoah.com, and you can book a 1-hour session with me on the Ask Dr. Joe. So with that, my friends, it's about 7:55. I'm going to call it a day. Chill out, relax, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care. Have a good one. Bye for now.